What's up, everybody? We're back on the Listen Nissim show. I'm your host, Nissim, and today we're in the studio with LKD. How you doing, man?
Oh, Hashem. Thank God, man. Thank God. Thanks for having me.
Tell us, maybe other names will help our listeners recognize who you really are.
Hello?
Hey, babe. I just want to let you know I got the vaccine today.
What?
Yeah, babe. My friends and family all got it. My best friend's dad is a pharmacist and said it's safe. Babe, they paid me, and Joe Biden said it's good for you to get it. And you know how bad I want to go to London this summer. Babe, I've been thinking about it. You know how much I love you. Babe, why are you so anti-vax? Baby, we can be vaccine buddies together. Hello? Hello? Babe?
I mean, you guys can find me online as Lev King D, LEVKING D for David. King David, whatever you want to call me. People know me as Lev. People know me as King D. Whatever y'all want to call me, y'all call me. It's all love.
Tell us, where were you born?
Well, I was originally born in the Soviet Union, in Ukraine, Kiev, or not too far from Kiev, in between Chernobyl and Kiev. So yeah, I'm one of those radioactive babies too.
Where were your grandparents from?
Also Ukraine. Everyone's from Ukraine, but different parts of Ukraine, all over.
When did you first leave Ukraine?
So we actually left. The day we left was the day the Soviet Union collapsed. So my flight was actually, as soon as we took off, it's like the whole thing went down, bro. Yeah, so I had actually a pretty crazy story with my birth too. So actually, I was born in a hospital, and before, if people know, in the Soviet Union, especially in Ukraine, right before the collapse, a lot of the mob and mafia was taking over a lot of the land in Ukraine and the hospitals. There was a lot of corruption. So one of the hospitals I was actually born in, they were kidnapping kids, babies. They would actually hurt the kids and then tell the parents that their children didn't make it, and they would actually traffic these children. They would sell them to New York, America. They would traffic them all around the world. So I actually was one of the kids that got kidnapped at my birth. And thank God I have excuse me one sec. Thank God I have a gangster grandma who kind of held the doctors hostage until they brought me back. And yeah, it was a whole story, but thank God I kind of came back from that. And we left as refugees in '91. So the day we left was the day the Soviet Union collapsed, whatever the day that was. I was a baby, so I don't really remember much.
Where did you go to?
So we went straight to LA.
Why?
My uncle was already out here, and so we kind of had that in to get over here. We already had a family member, a place we could kind of start as refugees. My parents came here with literally no money in their pocket, with a baby. My mom was really young, so mom, dad, and yeah, they came here with like $50 in their pocket and a baby, and living that American dream, you know.
What were your parents' occupation?
So my mom, they both finished like engineering. Being in Russia, being Jews, growing up, it was really hard for them because they had a lot of brains. You had to be very smart, and especially Russian Jews, Ukrainian Jews at that time were very educated, very smart, living in Kiev. And there's a lot of anti-Semitism. So even though my mom was getting she should be getting straight A's, the teachers were failing her and, putting Žid on her paper because she was a Jew. They didn't want her to go to university. They didn't want to see a Jew succeed. Even though the Jew was the smartest in the class, they were really trying to bring him down. So my mom did finish engineering. So did my father. My father actually went into that field. And my mom actually did x-ray technician when she came here, tried that, but she did skincare. She's a She does dermatology, skincare, waxing, eyebrows, stuff like that. She worked different salons. Now we own a salon, so if anyone's ever in LA and they want to hit up the bombest salon, for all you ladies out there who need are traveling, going through Los Angeles, we're here in the Valley. Tip Top Nail Spa. I actually gave it that name because it ain't getting your nails done unless it's tip top. You ain't getting your hair done unless it's tip top, ladies. So come through. But yeah.
Any siblings?
Yeah. So I have a little sister from my mom actually got remarried when I was about 10 years old, and when I was about 13, she gave birth to my little sister, Shauna, which I also named. Thank God. For some reason, people in my family come to me when it comes to naming. I don't know why, but yeah, I have a little sister. Thank God.
So you're in LA.
Yeah.
You don't have much memory of your former Soviet Union life.
No, just stories from my parents, grandparents.
What was elementary school and middle school years like for you in the home, Jewishly?
So I didn't grow up religious at all. I didn't have any Yiddishkeit, really. I did, when I was in preschool, my mom couldn't really afford, she couldn't afford a private school or anything, but there was a conservative, reformish type synagogue that let me come to their preschool, kindergarten. It was called Temple Beth Hillel. I went there for those couple years, and then after that, my mom couldn't afford tuition for me, so I ended up going to public school. I went to public school in Pacoima. If anyone's familiar with this, not the best of neighborhoods, but I was the only white kid in my school at the time. And I wasn't white, the only Russian Jewish. I don't consider myself white, but Russian Jewish kid in Pacoima Elementary. And and then I went to middle school. At 13, I grew up, a little troubled, little bad kid, because I had a lot of struggles as a kid growing up, a lot of ups and downs with my family, a lot of built-in personal struggles, which led me to make a lot of not the wisest decisions in my life. At 13, I ended up, instead of having a bar mitzvah, my father was actually pushing me to go learn with this one rabbi. And he's like, listen, I know you don't believe in all this stuff, because I thought I knew it all at the time. And, I didn't believe in any sort of, religion or any type of structured belief system, and I didn't want anything to do with it. And, my father's like, listen, you're a Jew, and you should this rabbi's offering to teach you for your bar mitzvah when you're 13, you get bar mitzvah. Thank God. Oh, I forgot to say, thank God I wasn't able to get Brit Milad in the Soviet Union, but when we got to Cali, thank God I got Brit Milad. A little later, but I got a Brit Milad, Baruch Hashem, kosher Brit Milad.
What age was that?
This was at about, I was about 9 months old. And then later in my life on Lag BaOmer, I just to make sure, because I didn't know if the rabbis were kosher, if they said a bracha or not. On Lag BaOmer, I had a mohel just prick me again one more time, just to make sure, just to make sure I'm Yotzi. Thank God.
You were also under a year old?
No, that was way later in my Baal Tshuva years. I just had to, I had a kosher Brit Milah, Baruch Hashem, but I just wanted to make sure that, the brachas, the correct brachas were said, and it was, so they had to little prick of blood, draw a little blood out,
How old were you at that time?
That was actually way later. That was way after I did tshuva. I was about 27, 26.
So you really remember that experience?
It just didn't hurt. Just a little prick, But what was I saying?
I do want to mention, I learned from Rabbi Mizrahi that on the 8th day, the baby's body gives more vitamin K blood cells or something like that. And that's the only time during the baby's life when it has like an extra 10%, 110% of this vitamin K. And that's the reason why it's perfect day on the 8th day to do a Brit Milah or something. So back to your bar mitzvah with the rabbi.
My bar mitzvah. So I didn't want to have a bar mitzvah. And I was a troubled kid, so I ended up getting arrested. And I'm not going to say what for, but I ended up going away for a year and a half to a boot camp in South Carolina. And, I was in South Carolina for a year. And, Hashem's like, okay, you don't want to be a Jew? You don't want to remember that you're having a bar mitzvah, this, that. I got sent to South Carolina. Of course, if people know, at that time in South Carolina, where I was in this youth authority program, I was the youngest, and everyone in there is like 13 till 18, and I was the youngest, and some guys are even 19, and I was the only Jew there. So it's like white, skinhead, neo-Nazis. And then, thank God, our brothers, our African and American brothers there. There was no in between. So if you're white, you're chilling with the whites. If you're African American, chilling with African American. Thing is, they try to tell me that I have to go to church every Sunday, that they had an on-campus church there. And I refused to go. I said, listen, I don't believe in God, and I know my rights. There's no way you guys could make me go. And they said, no, you don't have a choice. And I said, if you guys are going to bring me in here, we're going to have problems, And whatever, long story short, I ended up in the infirmary a few times. I never went into the church. My soul was literally fighting back. It's like, you're not going in this church. Like, you're not. Like, and I didn't even know that halachically I'm forbidden to go into a church. But my soul already knew the halacha, so it was fighting hard, But long story short, everyone found out I was a Jew. And for the first, 4 months, I had to really fight every day, and for my Yiddishkeit. And as a kid, I grew up with stories of my grandparents, my mom fighting anti-Semitism. But growing up as a kid, as a child in LA, I didn't really experience that, that anti-Semitism. And here, firsthand experience. I'm 13 years old, bar mitzvah age. I didn't have a bar mitzvah, and they're like, yo, we're going to kill you because you're a Jew. I'm like, you guys want to kill me because I'm a Jew? Okay. I didn't understand why. But, I had to remember, Hashem had to remind me in his own cute way that I'm a Jew, and thank God, I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Abba, because it made me who I am today. It definitely played a part, because when I came out of there, I definitely had a lot of Jewish pride, and word up to all my brothers in there who held me down after the 4 months. A lot of the brothers like, yo, you're not touching this kid anymore, because they seen me, a little 13-year-old Jewish Russian kid, getting down with 10 skinheads and neo-Nazis with swastikas on their heads. And I'm literally fighting every day to the broken arm, cast on, broken nose, and they're like, yo, y'all ain't messing with Lev. Like, this he's with us, So thank God, because they, our African American brothers too, they also had a big struggle. They know what the struggle's like, especially in this country, and they have history in this country, and with all the racism and everything, so they could relate, and they had my back. You feel me? And I got through it, thank God. And I came back out with a lot of Jewish pride. I wasn't religious at that time. I still had my views on religion and God. I was very anti all that, but I was super pro, Jewish identity and having a Jewish identity at the time.
What age were you when you got out?
I was about 14 and a half. My mom already had my sister, so I came back to meet my sister, and it was pretty cool. But I still came back to my old ways, my old crazy, not smart decisions. I mean, I was kind of in there with some of a lot of young criminals who taught me how to be a better criminal at that time in my life. So I definitely, came out with, you could say, what's the word? Not rehabilitated, but like I came out with a PhD in not the smartest things in this world, and not the best things. And
that was like your bar mitzvah?
That was my bar mitzvah. So, yeah.
Did you ever actually have a bar mitzvah?
Yeah, I had actually 3 bar mitzvahs way later. Like, I had a bar mitzvah at 18, 2 bar mitzvahs at 18. When here, I mean, my first bar mitzvah, I would say, was me putting on tefillin for my first time, and that's a whole story of itself. I think I don't know if you're gonna interview me on that story. That's like, it's a long story. It's a crazy story.
Let's hear. No,
it's a long story. I mean, if you want it,
yeah,
it's a long one.
All right,
I'm gonna take a lot of details out and a lot of things out, try to make it this long, short story shorter and shorter than it actually is. So I'm going to leave out a lot of details. But I'll start off with one thing. So I'll actually start off from where we left off. So I went back to my old ways, and, not the best of friends, and getting into trouble, in and out of trouble as a kid, juvie here, there. When I was about 16, I was involved in a car accident. I was a passenger in a car that kind of flipped off a hill, off a mountain, and I didn't have my seatbelt. The car was completely just demolished. I was flipped around this car like a rag doll. I basically died that night, and thank God, they brought me back. I was in a coma, this whole thing, but when the ambulance took me, I was DOA. I was dead on arrival. And it was a big miracle. I came back, and when I came back, I knew something completely out of body happened to me, some crazy revelation outside of my body. But, it's like waking up from a dream where everything's so clear, then you wake up and you forget. You lose it. It's spiritual knowledge that the body's not really receptive to, and the body kind of tzimtzums, breaks it, blocks it out, the spiritual knowledge that's the way the body's programmed, at that time for me. Fast forward a year later, I ended up also coming back to my old ways, and I had a situation where I died again. I'm not going to get into details, but this time it was a lot more serious. And I was back in the hospital less than a year later, actually. I had a reaction to some medication, and long story short, I was found dead in my bed. No heartbeat, nothing. Medically, it's impossible what happened to me. And I was found dead by my mom. My mom I didn't even live at my house at the time, but someone dropped me off at my house in a weird position where my muscles started breaking down in my bloodstream, clogging up my kidneys, stopping my heart. My mom wakes up 5 a.m. She had some kind of feeling that something was wrong and that she knew I was there. Thank God my door was unlocked. She came in, she seen I was dead in my bed. No heartbeat, pale, Ambulance came. They didn't know what to do, what was wrong with me, what the situation was, how they could revive me. They took me to Van Nuys Hospital. And basically, you know, they had me on life support, this, that, but the machine wasn't keeping me alive. And they're like, we're sorry. You know, my whole family who was in the neighborhood actually came to say goodbye. And they're about to call Hever Kadisha to come pick up my body, and that's it. They're taking me off the machine, and that's it. And a miracle happened, and I came back. My heart started beating, and I mean, it took a few days. The doctor said my kidneys needed to come back for it to be, you know, they had to test my kidneys. It had to reach a certain type of requirement of my kidneys, or else I wasn't going to survive for after a week. So my mom also at the time, she wasn't really religious or anything, but she told my aunt who lives in New York, who wasn't religious either, she went to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, to the Ohel, to go pray for me. And she did not leave the Rebbe's Ohel until they got the call that my kidneys came back, which was literally the day of the deadline. And my kidneys did come back, which was a miracle out of this world. And also Edik, my grandma's cousin in Israel, took a bus from Netanya in the hot summer day and went straight to the Kotel to go pray for me, for my kidneys to come back. So I had two family members down, one at the Kotel, one at the Ohel, davening for me, and Hashem brought me back, thank God. My kidneys came back. I was still in the hospital for 3 months after I was on dialysis. I was on a bunch of, I had surgeries, and I had nerve damage to the whole right side of my body too. So when I left the hospital, I couldn't walk. My arm was literally stuck like this. I couldn't even lift up my arm. I couldn't do anything, and I couldn't walk either. So my right leg was done. I had nerve damage on my whole sciatic, my whole right side, and the doctors told me I wasn't going to walk again. I was going to be crippled for the rest of my life. I came out of there in a wheelchair, and I wasn't going to have it. I didn't. My mind would not let me accept that fate. So I literally pushed myself every day. Baruch Hashem, He gave me the strength to literally wake up and push myself every single day to try to, try to move a little bit or do something. Even though my arm's not moving, I know I'm going to move it a tiny bit. In my sleep, I'm moving it a tiny little bit. I'm going to the pool. I'm doing this. Physical therapy, acupuncture, every day going hard, every day pushing myself, mind over matter. And within, I think it was 4 months, I was running. I left all my physical therapists in shock. All the doctors were in shock. They never seen anything like it. They never seen anyone recover. And especially with the whole amount of time I didn't have oxygen to my brain, I should have been brain dead. And Baruch Hashem, my brain's functioning perfectly, and thank God, it was a big miracle. And like I said, the second time was a little more intense. When I died, I knew something completely very incredible happened to me outside of my body, and I remembered it so clearly. But when I came back to my body, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, like you wake up from that dream that you remember so clearly, and then you're trying to remember that dream, 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, you can't remember it. Just wipes away. So it was a bummer, because I'm like, I know something happened to me up there, but I couldn't remember. It just blocked me off. So fast forward about a year later, year and a half later, I still went back to my old ways. I was living a crazy life. I'm not going to get into the details of what I was doing, but I was not not making good decisions and not surrounding myself with good people and not in a really good business. I was affiliated with, a lot of drug dealers, gangbangers, out here, and a lot of not good people. And I was in a situation where I was threatened, my family was threatened. And one thing, me being threatened is one thing, but, my family was being threatened. And I had to protect my family, and I had to protect myself. And it was literally a situation where, someone was trying to take my life. And, I didn't even, like I said, I didn't know Torah back then, but I know, in my soul, like, someone's out to kill me. You wake up earlier that day, and you get up earlier, and you have to take initiative. You have to protect your life and protect your loved ones, whatever you have to do. And that's what I had to do. But long story short, Baruch Hashem, I didn't have to kill anybody, thank God. I'm not going to get into details, but it was a crazy story. Maybe one day in the future we'll fabrang about this, off camera. But it's a wild, wild story of how the whole war, I went through literally a battle out here in LA. And long story short, I was on the run. I had a warrant out for my arrest, and I had to get out of LA. I was on the run. I had people out to kill me. I had cops looking for me. I had a very serious charge at that time, and I had to get out. So me and a buddy of mine were like, where are we gonna go? My boy, thank God he has a little money. He was telling me, I'll go to Vegas. We'll lay low. We'll get there, get a room, change. We'll have the homies already setting up a name on another identity and the thing. We're just gonna check in. We'll go up. Nobody. We lock ourselves in the suite. Wait till everything cools down here in LA, and then we could come back at the right time. I was like, all right. And I'm on my way to Vegas. My friend falls asleep. And I'm driving to Vegas, and this is how my life completely changed. 180 degrees. I'm on my way to Vegas. I'm driving through the midbar, the desert. We got the Torah in the desert, and that's why even though Vegas is like they call it Sin City, the epicenter of the Klippa, right? But I was on my way literally to Sin City. And on my way to, from one Mitzrayim to another Mitzrayim. And I don't know how to explain it, but I had a crazy revelation. I'm driving down the freeway. I'm about an hour away from Vegas in the desert. And I can explain it, but those of you who know Chassidut or study teachings of Kabbalah or Zohar, it was like an or makif, or pnimi, both at the same time. Like this light literally hit me on the freeway. I was completely, I was sober, running on adrenaline. I just went through a crazy war back in LA. On my way, and this whole thing, that whole story of everything I went through was just to get me on the road. Hashem did all of that, and the whole thing was I seen the God's hand. The miracles that I seen, it was beyond explanation. I can't explain to you. But I'm on my way to Vegas, and this light hits me, this revelation. And this hits me, and I didn't know what, it's like time stopped. This light hits me, and I feel this like inner and outer voice telling me, turn the car around and go to Laguna Beach. It made no sense at all. Completely wacko. Like, not logical. I have a warrant out for my arrest. Cops are looking for my car. I'm an hour away from my destination. We have a time limit to be there. Laguna Beach is about 8 to 9 hours in the other direction away from my destination. Made no sense whatsoever, but this energy, this feeling, this voice, this inner knowledge, I couldn't argue with it, and it was the realest thing I ever felt in my life. So I turned the car around, put Laguna Beach in my GPS, and started driving. My friend had no idea. He was still knocked out. We get to Laguna. Sunrise. After sunrise. Sun's up. My friend wakes up. He's flipping out on me. Are you crazy, bro? Have you lost your mind? We're going to jail. You went to the beach, bro. We're supposed to be in Vegas 5 hours ago. We're going to jail. You're insane. He's cussing me out in Russian, telling me, you know, and I'm, whatever. And we're driving. And the more I'm driving, I feel this energy pulling me there, like a magnet. I can't explain, like this magnet of light pulling me. And then I go, it's pulling me. And then, you know, either my friend said something or something happened, and we pulled into this plaza. You know, nothing's random. Nothing, we know, you know, as the Baal Shem Tov says, nothing in this world is random. Everything happens for a reason, like I said earlier. And everything has a reason. Every phone call you get, every person you run into the street, everything has its place and purpose. And here I am in this parking lot, and I tell my friend, yo, go inside this building. I felt this energy like pull. You know, he's like, yo, this, you know, I don't know what. Either he pulled me there. Something happened for us to get to this building. And I didn't go at first. And he goes, bro. He comes on. He goes, bro, at the synagogue in Russian. It's a synagogue. It's a synagogue? What are you talking about, bro? What are we doing at a synagogue, bro? I literally turned the car around like to come to the synagogue. He's like, bro, I have no idea what's going on, bro. There's some kids your age in there. Go talk to him. I have no idea. So me and him walk in together, you know, just like two proper Russian thugs. And the guys, Russian Jewish thugs. You know, they could tell we're Jewish. I was clean shaven at the time. You know, we both have very Jewish faces. And they looked at us and like, yo, you put on tefillin? I was like, to what? Tefillin. I had no idea what they were talking about. Took me to the side. Shout out my boy Dove Fine, Yo Peso. You know, to this day they're my brothers, and you know, they literally pulled me out the matrix. You know what I'm saying? But long story short, they took me to the side. I strapped up tefillin, said the bracha with them, said Shema. And the second I said Shema, that light that stopped me on the freeway an hour away from Vegas hits me. But this time it hits me 1,000,000 times stronger. Literally like boom, bro, like someone dropped a nuke on me. You understand? Time stopped and I had a complete out of body experience. I cannot explain to you. I've never had that feeling ever again after putting on tefillin, but it was my first time putting on tefillin, and time stopped, and I literally seen my life from the moment I was born and got kidnapped till that moment. I was standing there in Laguna Beach with these shluchim, putting on tefillin, everything in detail, like no time. You know what no time means? No time means like when I died, I remembered everything at that moment. I seen what happened to me both times when I died. Both times were completely different. But in both times, you know, I ended up in the Beit Din B'Shamayim, you know, the higher courts, and how the process of getting there both times were completely different. But I seen all these things, and I had it was like a crazy trippy moment in my life, and I connected myself straight to the source of all chokhmah at that moment. And I was standing there crying, tears pouring down my face. The shluchim have no idea what's going on, and they're like, bro, are you okay? I'm like, listen, I don't know what I knew. I don't know what, but I know I need more. I know after what I just seen, you know, I seen Olam Emet, I seen Olam Sheker. I knew I was completely lacking all mitzvot. Maybe I did some good things here and there in my life. I was always a good kid. I always did good for people, but I was lacking Torah and mitzvot. And I seen Emet. I connected myself to the Emet. And that's it. I'm like, I need more. I didn't even know what to ask for. I'm like, I need more. Like, give me more. You know, like, I didn't want to take off the tefillin. Like, I'm like, yo, they're like, yo, just chill, stay with us, just chill, calm down, everything's okay, bro, just chill. You know, I literally, it was like a crazy experience. I had a whole out-of-body experience, and they're like, listen, chill, we have kosher food, we have this, that, just chill with us, learn with us for one day, bro. Do us a favor, just stay with us for one day. I look at my boy, I'm like, I will stay for 1 day. We'll stay. You know, we stayed with these boys. Shout out to Rabbi Afsin from Yerushalayim, the rap yeshiva, who sent out the first program. It was called Lamplighters. The first program of Lamplighters ever was sent to Laguna Beach that year. I was on my way to Vegas on the run, and Hashem had other plans. He literally sent these shluchim from Yerushalayim, some shluchim from LA. Everyone met up in Laguna Beach. I was on my way to Vegas. I turned around and we all, bam, dead hard in Laguna Beach. This was Hashem's plan. And that was my first time putting on tefillin. That was my first bar mitzvah. Long story short, the guys gave me a book of Tehillim. They had also a talk with me, complete Ruach HaKodesh, a few of the shluchim. And my bad, it's a long story. I'm trying to make it as short as possible. But because I'm leaving out a lot of stuff. But they gave me Tehillim. They said, read this Tehillim. I'm like, I can't read Hebrew. They're like, don't worry. It's half English, half Hebrew. Read the English. Read this. And in 2 weeks, this was the kids' word. 2 weeks, everything's going to be taken care of. Doesn't make sense? I'll do it. But, you know, reality check. I still got a warrant for my arrest. Still got people out to kill me. And I'm on the run. I'm going, you know, but I knew that I'm going to Vegas now with a completely different head, with this Tehillim in my hand. And I know I'm not going to get pulled over. I know nothing's going to get in my way because this is all God's plan. Everything is God's plan. And I will not interfere with his plan because it's his plan. And I did exactly just that. I went to Vegas, locked myself in the Venetian suite, opened up this Tehillim, started reading Psalms of King David. Shout out to King David, the first rapper, you know. And I started reading these Psalms, and I started crying. Because everything David HaMelech was going through, that was my life. I didn't even know how to pray at that time. But I didn't have words to pray. But everything David, how he's hiding from Saul, how there's people out to kill him, how he's fighting, he's asking Hashem to forgive him for all of his sins. This was me. This was my prayers, and this is what I was reading, and I connected to it. I was sitting in this Venetian suite crying my eyeballs out. And like, you know, it's I really connected to it. And 2 weeks later, just as the shluchim said, a miracle happened. I get a call from a lawyer back in LA, and whoop-de-whoop, I'm not going to get into the details, but this and this got taken care of. All charges are dropped. You're good to come home. Everything is good. Yofi. So I come back home. I linked up with a few of the shluchim from Laguna Beach who actually lived in LA. Started coming by Fabrengens. And when I came to Fabrengens, you know, we started learning Tanya, started learning Chassidut, and I'm like, hey, I know this. I remember this. I remember this from up there. You know, like, I know this. I need, like, so then, boom, Tanya, I got hooked to it. Like, you know, I became a Tanya addict. You know what I'm saying? I started learning Chassidus, started learning Tanya. I'm like, yo, I know this. I remember this. I need to refresh my memory really quick. And boom, boom, boom. One thing led to the next. Went to Birthright to Israel, stayed in Israel, fell in love with Israel. You know, went to Machal. Then got in a situation again out here. Had to stay here for another year. Came back to Israel. Back to yeshiva. I was like back and forth here and there, you know. And my life has just been up and down roller coaster. But as they say, just like the heart beats up and down, you you're hooked up to what's it called, EKG, right? Heart monitor, whatever. Your pulse goes up, down, up, down, up, down. If someone's life is just going coasting, what's that? That's called flatline, baby. You ain't living if it's just flatline. If your life is just, if your life's going like this, that's a heartbeat. And we gotta that's what life is. You gotta take the ups and the downs to turn it around. Elevate every struggle into a positive. And what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And believe me, my struggle doesn't stop, and it doesn't. I've my story doesn't end. It doesn't end there. It always continues, and that's for another time. But this was my bar mitzvah. I had a bar mitzvah there, Laguna. I had a bar mitzvah on top of the Masada. I had a bar mitzvah in Yerushalayim. And those are like my 3 main bar mitzvahs, thank God, that I had later in my life.
When did your music career begin?
So that's a whole nother story. So as a kid growing up, my grandma, she was very musical. My grandma, the OG, I call her OG Babushka. She's a real OG. She saved me as a kid. But she was a singer, and she would always sing when I was a kid. She actually infused a lot of spirituality into me as a kid too. And I forgot to mention, she always had a picture of the Rebbe at the house when I was a little kid. I didn't even know. I said, Babushka, who is that? And she would say, that's the Rebbe. I had no idea who he was, but I'm like, okay. I'm like, what? And then I would see my grandma praying and talking to God, doing her own hisbadadut. She's a very holy woman. She's not religious, nothing. Didn't keep kosher. She doesn't know what Shabbos is. It's not that she didn't keep Shabbos. She never grew up with Shabbos. She never grew up with kashrut. She's a very spiritual woman, always praying to God, always singing. And I would always be like, Grandma, who are you talking to? I'm talking to Eibishter. Right? So, she infused that. And I grew up with that. And as a kid, I was very in touch with music. Very, very connected to music. And that was my form of expression. That was my form of kind of dealing with my life, with the struggles in my life. And, if it wasn't for the music, I think I would have been dead a long time ago. When I started writing music, I started writing lyrics to, kind of express my soul when I was a young kid, even with my non-kosher days. A lot of klipa music, bro. I was in it deep, you know what I'm saying? I used to write lyrics, write rhymes, not kosher at all. I've, sat in the studios with a lot of great people. I've sat at ski studios with a lot of different artists and interned there as a kid, and dealt with a lot of different people and different rappers. And that was my love. That was my passion. I loved rhymes. I loved music. And so it goes back to about when I was like 12 years old. I mean, it goes back to when I was like a kid. I was always singing and stuff. But when I was about 12, 13, I actually started going, like, writing rhymes. Like, once I started my tshuva, and I'm still doing tshuva tonight, tomorrow, yesterday, doing tshuva every day. I got a lot of work still. Like, as the Rebbe said, we should never be satisfied where we're at. We should always be growing, and we should, people are like, yeah, I'm a ball tshuva, but I know I'm not a ball anything. I'm a ball, I'm a ball on. I'm chilling, bro. I'm a ball chilling. That's what I am. I'm trying to do tshuva every day, and once I started doing tshuva, I started changing my path in music, and I started very hardcore underground type feel. And I mean, for a lot of my fans, like, you know, I thank God I have a lot of people who have been reaching out to me over the years from all over the world, who actually, like, I don't even know how these people heard my music, but people heard my music from, in, like, you know, and when it felt so good, you know, even when I just started doing this and putting out like some of my first songs on SoundCloud, and I started hearing people hit me up like, bro, that track hit my soul, like that track really inspired me, that track was like, and you know, is a whole nother feel, like, of how I started my underground feel of rap and hip hop, and the later kind of progression. And I mean, all of it's good, all of it's different, but you could definitely tell how you could understand my spiritual growth through my music throughout the years. So I would say around like 18, 19, like.
Can you talk a little bit about combining the secular world and infusing it with Yiddishkeit?
Yeah, so that's what I feel is what we're actually, that's what I'm really going at. And you know, because I come from that darkness, and you know, no, nothing, it's not all dark in the secular world. There's a lot of light, and some of the highest actual sparks fell down into these dark places. And that's why I try to take these concepts, I try to take these hard beats, because to this day, you know, I'm driving, like, I need to wake up. Sometimes I need some really hard hitting bangers to really penetrate my soul and get me, you know, like, I can't just, you know, I'm not, no offense, I love Mordechai Ben David and Avraham Fried and all these Jewish artists, but, like, you know, as with the music that I grew up to, it's not something that I can really connect with as a Yid. I love it, and I connect to Nigunim, and I love Nigunim, when we Farbang, everything, but when I'm driving in my car, or you know, when I'm going through my day, sometimes I need some real hard-hitting things to, like, really wake my soul up. So most of the time in the Jewish world, you don't have access to that kind of music that's kosher in a way. So what I feel was to really take that concept and really turn it around, like, completely take those beats, take a lot of these concepts and just transform it into holiness. You know, like, instead of talking about, you know, what everyone else is talking about on the radio, you know, all this gashmut and all this materiality and physical taivas and women and cars and all these stuyot, literally take that and transform it into something positive. Not even taking that, but, like, taking a lot of concepts of the soul, of my own struggle, of Torah, of everything, you know, like, of my life, literally just putting my life on wax is what I'm doing, because that's where I come from. So I'm trying to do what I did with my life and just put it on the mic. You feel me? That's like that's just what I'm doing. It's not about, that's the mission, man. That's straight up the mission. It's just taking something that came from the gutter, came from the dark, and taking that pain, taking that struggle, and infusing it with the highest levels of Kedusha. You know, like they say, there's like the Alter Rebbe talks about, in the fire, in a flame, there's two lights. There's the outer light that's always shining bright. It's yellow. It's like tied up with, it's always burning high, and it's nothing's getting in its way. It's never going, you know, it's always connected to some kind of higher ore that represents, like, the ore of Ein Sof. It's always high. It's infinite, and that light is always within the infinite. It has no real test. It's always tied up. It's a complete tzaddik, you know. But then you have like us, like the Beinanim, who is like the inner light, and that inner light's kind of flickering. It flickers. That's that flickering light, that second light. Why is it flickering? Because it's within, it's surrounded by darkness, and the darkness is trying to put it out. It's trying to flicker it out. It's trying to kill it. It's trying to shect it. But you have to transform it and stay lit. So in a way, that flickering light is a million times, I'm not going to say a million, that other one's infinite, but it's a lot more stronger because it has a test. It has an opposition. It has a klipa to deal with. It has a darkness, a shell to break through and to stay lit and to fight back. And that's why I feel that we're here in this world too. And that's what was revealed to me when to change me, because we're in this world to literally transform, take this darkness, elevate it and turn it into light. Because there's a lot of beauty and hidden sparks within this darkness. You understand? My bad. I'm getting a little into it, but that's where I'm at with this. You feel me? With my music, with what I do, and it's a big inspiration to me. I see how far I've come, and where I'm gonna go with the music, because now I'm not really trying to target just my people and make kosher Jewish music. We're trying to reach the whole world. You feel me? Speaking about reaching the whole world, we're getting a call from Israel really quick. One second. Yo, I'm in the middle of an interview. I'm on a podcast live. We're getting a call from Israel. I answer the phone. Say something. Give us some love from Eretz Israel. We're getting a call from Israel right now, everybody. Just give us a bracha from Israel.
A bracha from Israel. Am I really on live?
You're on live, bro. Yeah, there's a camera on me, everything right now.
Out here in Israel, haven't been here in 5 years. Probably definitely the best place on earth.
Everyone got to go to Israel.
I wish everybody gets the opportunity to come out here, especially people who never got to see it.
You guys got to go. If you ain't going to Israel, hit me up. I'll get you on a free trip to Israel tomorrow, bro. Call me.
August 17th is the next flight out.
All right.
Free trip to Israel.
You guys let us know. Yo, Ami, I love you, bro. I got to get back to this interview. I'm going to call you in a bit, okay? All right, Akhi. Bye. But yeah, speaking about light, in the world, we're going to transform this. We're connected all around the world and get the whole world involved. Not only the Jews. Everyone sees the Creator. Everyone feels the Creator. And everyone needs to tap into that consciousness of just being connected to their source. Because we feel it, and you can't deny the truth. This world, it's olam sheker. There's a lot of klipa. There's a lot of things that disconnect us from God, and we're so, there's so much filtration systems. Like my body when I woke up from in the hospital, it was very filtered from the spiritual world. But we got to break through it because it's there, and we all know it's there. We just have to stay woke. We got to stay woke. We got to wake up and tap into that infinite essence within each and every one of you, not only the Jews, everybody. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm going with my music, and I want to wake everyone up to the truth, with Israel. I have a lot of songs also that are like, they're not political, but they're talking about what's happening in Israel, what was the struggles of our soldiers, of our people there. And we have Hasidic songs. We have all kinds of stuff.
And lastly, can you talk briefly, as much as you can, about your involvement with Junity? And what is it?
Junity, it's a project. I actually started with Ariel Peretz, I forgot how many years ago. But maybe 6 years ago, we started the first Junie. Actually, that's how you met. We got introduced through Judah Fire. So Judah Fire actually hit me up on SoundCloud about 6 years ago. I heard one of his songs. I liked it. He started listening to my songs, or I forgot who found who, but someone reached out to us. We reached out to each other, and then we're like, yo, I like your stuff. He likes my stuff. Let's collab on a track. Collabed on a track. He was in Arizona. I was in LA. And I'm like, yo, bro, I'm having this idea, I want to mobilize. This was my initial idea of Junity was, listen, we got to bring Mashiach. We have to bring Mashiach. And, with all the craziness that's going on, all the anti-Semitism, all the Arab nations that were attacking Israel with rockets, with all this crazy stuff. And I was, we were setting up protests in front of the federal building in LA, in support of Israel to stop, and we had opposition people who supported Hamas coming out. And every month we had this event, and I said, listen, all this stuff is good. I would set up tefillin booths to wrap other Yidden up. Because, just how I got wrapped up once and my life changed completely, we got to keep the spark going. We're all lamplighters. That's the whole idea of a lamplighter, is to be that lamp that lights every wick. Every soul is a wick. We just have to light that wick so that wick could burn and become its own lamplighter. You feel me? And that's where I was at the time. And I'm like, all that is good, but we have to mobilize. We have to go to war. We have to go to war. And what's the war? We got to go to war. What do we have? What gift did God give us? He gave us this music. He gave us this ability to reach out to people, to reach out to other Yidden. Even if you inspire one Jew on the other side of the world, that's already a big step. You just lit a lamp on that side of the world. Now that Yid is going to light more lamps. You feel me? And if we could light lamps, we got to mobilize. That's mobilization. Just like an army mobilizes to go to war, we got to mobilize right now here in LA. How are we going to do that? So I had the idea of literally connecting all my artists at the time that I was into a lot of kosher hip-hop. And at the time, there wasn't a lot going on. There was a few. I remember there was, Matisyahu came out. He just came out. Nissim Zan was around at that time. He had a few records out. Who else was there? Describe, I think. Sajis V, Benyamin in Israel. This is back in those Or Sameach days. Shout out to Mazdi, Judah. There's this, not too much, at that time of people really doing it, on that conscious Jewish tip that were really dope. And I'm like, we got to get these people together. We got to do something. And I couldn't really get a lot of these guys. This guy's in Israel. This guy's not. I didn't have the funds. I didn't, the idea was great, but I'm like, we got to reunite Jewish artists around the world and bring them together for one movement to reach Jews. Doesn't matter, you secular, religious, reform, deform, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. Lefty, schmefty, righty, liberal, I don't care. Just come through, and listen to some dope music. Listen to real good stuff. And I guarantee you it's going to hit your soul and it's going to penetrate your soul, no matter what your views are. Because, a Jew is a Jew is a Jew is a Jew. And no matter what, he's gonna feel it. No matter where he's holding, he's going to feel it. So I'm like, that's what we got to do. We got to mobilize. And, and then eventually, not go too crazy, but build it up. So that was my idea of Junity. I threw the first Junity festival in the backyard of Ariel Peretz. We threw it in the backyard. We had Ronnie come. I forgot who else was there. There's a few artists. Who else came? It was Ronnie. It was me and Ronnie. And I think it was a couple more guys. We had a DJ. It was the DJ flaked on us last minute. So I was actually the DJ too. I was the DJ, I was the artist, and I was running the whole event. The DJ flaked because it was about to rain. And it wasn't, I told him, listen, you have to have bitachon. It's not going to rain. He's like, no, if it rains, I'm getting all my equipment out of here. And I'm like, listen, I'll build a sukkah right. We literally, last minute, everyone's already waiting for the show to start. Everyone's there. We're up there building a sukkah. And so if it, just in case it does rain, it's not going to wet his equipment. The guy takes all his equipment and bounces. I'm like, oh, man. So I go drive, rent some speakers, run back. Everything literally last minute. The show was stopped for like an hour. A lot of people had to like leave too, But I made it happen. It was with a lot of tests, but we made it happen. And that was the first Junity. Then we had a Junity again. We had a Junity we had a rally and a music fest I did with Yael Markovich also. Shout out to Yael for, she was Miss Israel, I think 2012. We threw this event, pro-Israel, pro-Judaism event, sponsored by Junity. Then we had an after-party show. Shout out to Judah and Masdi. Judah Fire came down. Also, another rapper also goes by Judah or Masdi came through. A few other artists came through. Shlomi J. A lot of different artists, and we had an event, and then we did a few other Junity events. Then we had Baruch Hashem, last year we had a really good event. We had a festival. So that was the idea originally, was a music festival, and we actually had the festival. We had Nissim Black come through. We had Zusha, my boy Hard Charlie from Chicago. Shout out to Hard Charlie. Who else? Judah, John Perry, bunch of other artists. You guys could look at the art, but we had a whole lot. We had 2 stages in the middle of downtown LA. I remember even coming out. I went out for a cigarette, and then after my set, and I was like outside smoking a cigarette, and a lot of people were coming out of the office buildings. It was in the middle of downtown LA, and they're like, yo, who just went up right now on this stage? And it's like right after my set, and they're like, yo, that was some of the dopest music I've ever heard. What is this? I'm like, it's a music festival. Like, what kind of music, man? I never heard nothing like it. I'm like, it's a Jewish music festival. That's Jewish music? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, no way, man. They're like, I gotta go. I gotta see this. This is not Jewish music. It sounds dope as hell. I'm like, yeah, check it out. Come through. So they came through, everyone was coming. Like, people off the streets were rushing in. It was, thank God, it was a really, inspiring event for not only for the Jewish world, but for the non-Jews as well. And it was, there's a lot of artists, and I also did a Junity event. It wasn't Junity, but it was a similar event called Tikkun and Tohu in Yerushalayim. We did an event with artists. If anyone knows Sonny or Solomon Souza, you ever heard of him? He's one of the dopest artists, street artists in Yerushalayim. He painted up the whole shuk. So if you go to Machi Yehuda, there's literally the whole Machi Yehuda shuk is live. They have bars, hookah lounges, all because of his art. Literally brought the shuk to life. If you were there 5-6 years ago, it was dead. He painted the whole thing. There's art everywhere. He painted up all of Israel. And he's one of the dopest artists. So he came through. We had this event with me, him, a few other people, and we did this really dope art, music, live art and music event. And that's what it's all about, man. Like, I'm always down for these projects where we can literally bring art and music and infuse it into Kedusha. And that's what it's all about, bro. Like, that's mobilization. And mobilize, bro. No matter what you do, no matter what talent you have, mobilize. You're a fighter, go box for Israel, box for the Jews. You anything can be transformed in Kedusha. And that's my idea of Junity and mobilization and unity. Not only Junity, but unity of the world and all Jews and all people for one cause, which is love, light, respect of, the one, and being conscious of, just being positive and connected to doing good deeds and kindness and transforming the world from darkness into light. That's what we're here for. That's Junity. Yeah.
So where can our listeners find you?
So I'm literally sitting on so much unreleased stuff that soon you guys will hear. B'ezrat Hashem. But I do have a few tracks out on iTunes, Spotify, the couple songs. But most, you'll find over 50 or 60 songs on, SoundCloud. You could check me out on Lev King D, LevKingD on SoundCloud. And I have over 50, maybe even more, maybe 60 songs. Starting from my old stuff. YouTube, I have a lot of songs on YouTube, so you could check me out on YouTube too. We got some music videos on there, a lot of stuff I did in Jerusalem, and then a lot of my newer stuff, semi-new stuff. It's gonna be out soon, B'ezrat Hashem. So keep a lookout. I'm gonna drop a couple mixtapes, God willing, and we're gonna make some music videos, some mixtapes. We can get it cracking, B'ezrat Hashem.
God willing, the future is looking bright. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us and inspiring our listeners.
Yeah. God willing, we'll bring about it, a little more next time. And there's a lot more to these stories. And like I said, the story doesn't stop. The story continues. And we're going to change the world. We're all going to change the world. B'ezrat Hashem. We're going to bring Mashiach and mobilize, Westside JRP all day.
Amen. If Mashiach doesn't arrive before my next podcast, until next time, signing off, I'm Nissim. Laila Tov.
Ain't no mivado. Until you seen there's nothing but God. Mazel tov, make another lechem. Everything set, Muna, we flying, and we rep that Zion. We rep that Zion. We rep that Zion. We rep that Zion. Chaim.